Hey guys, Cody here with Wheelock Oil Paintings, and today I have a brand new piece of plein air gear that I want to share with you. Now before we start, I have to let you know that I did get sent this piece of equipment for free to review, but I am going to give you an honest review and let you know all the things I love about it, as well as a few of the things that I don't like. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the piece of equipment I'm reviewing today is called the LederEasel, and it fits inside this little bag right here. This bag is probably about 18 inches or so long, maybe 6 to 8 inches wide, and I would say in total the whole kit probably weighs about 5 pounds, no more than that. Now that's just a guess on the total weight. I put the exact weight as listed on the LederEasel website in the description below, so make sure you go check that out. Now in this bag you're going to find 3 specific components, so let's go ahead and get those out and take a look. Looks like we've got some instructions here on how to put it together. This does come with something called an easel caddy, which will kind of explain what that is. A little card here. We've got a shoulder strap in the bag. And then we've got our main components. So the main components are going to be this thing, which is the pallet holder, the panel holder or easel part, I guess you could say, and a separate accessory that you can buy called the easel caddy. We'll go over that in a second. Now one of the things that I noticed and really liked right off the bat with the LederEasel is just how well it's made. This thing is pretty rock solid. As you can see here, the components are actually made of a powder coated metal. It's really durable stuff. I mean, it's not going to get bent or broken easily at all, even if you tried. And then the other components are made of a really nice kind of wood material that's been sanded down and has a finish on it and it's stained, so it's really high-end stuff. Now, as is often the case with increased durability comes a little bit of increased weight. So this setup is maybe a little bit heavier than other small compact setups, but unless you're going to be walking several miles with it and hiking with it for a ways, I don't think that the increased weight is going to be that big of a deal because it's so compact, it just doesn't take up much space, which is really nice. Before we set it up and see how it works, you should know that you do need to have a tripod, a sturdy tripod of some sort to use this. The tripod does not come with the plein air kit, the LederEasel kit. So you're going to have to buy that separately or use one that you already have. The good news is that the setup is really universal, so as long as you have a sturdy tripod, it should work with just about anything. Alright, well let's go ahead and get this thing set up and see what it looks like. Alright, so the main piece here is going to be the panel holder. Now the panel holder comes in 2 pieces. You have the main piece right here, which uses a quick connect here that you will find on the back side of most cameras and whatnot. And then you also have an extra arm extension. Now you only need this if you're going to do large pieces, say pieces maybe over 8 by 10 inches, 11 by 14, something like that, which for most people, if you're going to go out plein air painting, you're not going to do stuff that big. So you really only need to use this when necessary. So I love the fact that he makes this an optional piece that you don't have to have with you all the time. I typically don't do a lot of large scale stuff out plein air anyway, so I'm just going to stick with this, and this is probably all I would take with me if I were going out on a plein air painting trip. Alright, let's go ahead and get this on here. Now you could choose if you were going to keep it vertical like this or flip it this way. Sometimes when I'm in the studio working, I'll flip it down like this. That just seems to work better when I'm sitting down, but for standing I'd probably have it a little bit more vertical. Alright, let's go ahead and unscrew these knobs and flip these pieces down. One thing that's a little bit tricky about this design is that these little guys right here come in and out so that you can choose to hold a canvas with some width on it or thickness to it, or you can choose to hold panels, but they kind of get in the way of bringing these out, so you got to make sure that they're pushed all the way in so they don't interfere too much. You'll also notice that there's a little groove right here which helps the crossbar piece fit snug against the vertical support, so you'll want to make sure that you loosen up the wing nut enough that it can fit and you can move it around a little bit. So you can see where you could put a maybe a stretch canvas right here and set it on the top of this wood piece. You've got probably about an inch or so of thickness there, a flat space, or you can push these out and hold your panels or the thick panels that way and use the knobs to tighten them up. So overall it works pretty well. Now if I wanted to use this extra vertical support, if I was to do something big, all you have to do is simply click it right into this bottom space here. And just like that, you can move this down to here and you're ready to go. The second component of this setup is going to be your pallet holder. Now as you can see, it comes in a nice little Velcroed bundle like this. Simply take this off, and it comes in 3 pieces. You have this larger wooden piece which is going to attach to your tripod legs, and then you've got these 2 bars which is what your pallet's going to sit on. Now this is really going to work best with one of those pallet boxes that's an actual box that you can put the lid on to save your paints, or a flat wooden pallet or plastic pallet, something like this. This setup here is not really going to work well with a clip-on box that hangs off the front of your easel like you might see in a day tripper setup. That's what I normally use when I go out and plein air paint. But nonetheless, you don't have to use this. This is an optional bit. And what's really cool is LederEasel lets you purchase all of these components as a single package, or you can buy each component separately, so you can really customize your setup however you want. For the purpose of this review, I'm going to go ahead and set this up so you can see what it looks like. Alright, so these little arms here are what hook onto your pallet legs, and they are fully adjustable. They move up and down, so you can quickly get it to whatever size that you want and whatever height you're standing at. So for me, that's going to be a little bit low, so I can just simply loosen this up, bring it in a little bit, loosen that one up, bring it in a little bit, and I can get it to sit a little bit higher. And these arms are really grab on to the tripod legs well, so you don't have to worry about this slipping off. It's very secure. And then these little bars here, which are also powder coated metal, very durable, they're going to fit right into these little holes here. So you go ahead and just push them in like this. I have this one on backwards. Maybe it doesn't matter. So basically it looks like that. And then the idea is you basically just take your pallet box or whatever you're using for your pallet, set it right on top of those little arms, and you're good to go. So it's really simple. Now you may be wondering, well, what if it falls off? Isn't it going to be unsecure just sitting there? So LederEasel has actually done a couple of things to help remedy that problem. Number one, you'll notice that there's these little rubber bands or gaskets or whatnot that are on these, so they kind of form a grip, a little bit of a grippy surface, so when you set something on here, it doesn't easily fall off. They also give you a couple of small bungee cords, and the idea here is if you had a pallet box sitting on there, you could hook this on one side, stretch it over and hook it on the other side, and it would essentially secure it to these arms. Now, I don't actually have one of those pallet boxes. Like I said, I generally use a day tripper easel, but in order to try it out, I decided to just bring a flat wooden pallet that we use at the studio to set that on there and see how it works. So we'll set this on here, and even just with setting this flat wooden easel on here, those little rubber gaskets actually hold it on there really good. It doesn't feel flimsy. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall off if I bump it. This big thick wooden cross beam here kind of forms a extra barrier, so it actually works really well. And if I really needed to, I could even put these little bungee cords on here, and we'll see if this works. Yeah, so that would probably work fine. I could put these bungees on here and it would keep this pallet very stable, and I don't think I'd have to worry about it moving around much at all. It's not going anywhere. Then finally, the third component of this setup is going to be the easel caddy, which comes in its own separate little bag here. All right, so let's go ahead and open this up and see what we got. So they give you a little jar here. Now, obviously, as you can see, I've been using this already quite a bit, and it's just a little plastic jar. They say it can hold up to solvents if you're using oil paint. It has a screw-on lid here. Now, the screw-on lid does not really have much of a rubber seal in it, so leaking probably would be a bit of a concern. I don't think I would put this full of liquid in a bag or whatnot, just in case. And then you'll notice on the inside of this, there's actually a little metal round screen type thing so that it can go in the bottom of your jar. And when you clean your brushes out on top of that, all of the sediment from the paint and the pigment falls to the bottom, and it helps to keep your brushes a little bit more clean. The main component of this system is actually going to be this little arm. Now there's a really nice little super clamp thing here, and again, look at how high quality these materials are. This is all metal. I don't think there's, other than maybe the knob here, there's no plastic on it everywhere. It's got rubber grippers. This thing extends very wide, and the idea here is that you can clamp this onto your tripod leg, and then the terps jar or the solvent jar or water jar, whatever, depending on what you're using, slides right into this hole, and they've sized it perfectly so it just hangs there like that, which is super nice. And the last component in here is going to be this little easel caddy bag. You can see how they have it branded there, which is really nice, and it's kind of a nylon bag. It doesn't feel cheap at all, and it has these little Velcro, 3 little Velcro loops. And the idea here is that you can fit this little bag inside the second hole on the easel caddy arm, and then Velcro these little things down on the sides like that. Like that, and like that. And then this little thing is nice and secure, and that bag will hang on there like that. Now you could use this bag for several different things. You could set your brushes in here. You could use it as a little trash bag. You could, I guess, even put a water bottle in there if you wanted. I mean, there's all sorts of things you could do with it. And if you want to use it as a little brush holder, they even give you this little, again, all metal, this little probably die-cut laser cast thing, cut thing. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about with those terms, but this, well, you can put those little loops right through the little slots here, and this will set on top, and that way you can put your brushes in there and keep them nice and organized. Now, a lot of the brushes that I use when I go plein air painting are going to be short handle brushes, and the bag is kind of, if I can hold it correctly, the bag is kind of long for that, so I don't know. You know, it doesn't seem to work really well with this thing. I've tried it. The brushes sit too far down in. But if you had long-handled brushes, it would fit great. So this thing, personally, I probably wouldn't use it as much, but I think the bag is really cool. So let's go ahead and get it attached onto the tripod and see how it looks. All right, so we've got this thing loosened up, so we'll go ahead and just stick this right here and tighten it. And then there's an extra little knob here you can loosen, and this is on a little ball joint, so you can position this really how far or however you want in whatever position. So I'm gonna just put it straight out like this, tighten her down. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take my little water jar, terps jar, whatever you use. Let's take the lid off, set it in there like that, and we're good to go. So there you have it, the full LederEasel kit with the panel holder, the easel caddy, and the palette holder or stand, the full setup. All right, now you're probably asking, okay, Cody, this all looks awesome. I'm interested in learning more and checking it out, but how much is it gonna cost me? Well, I've got answers. The standard LederEasel kit, which includes the panel holder or the easel part right here, and the palette holder right here, and the carrying case, which includes the bungees, the padded straps, all that, is going to cost you $159, which I think is actually really reasonable considering the quality of the materials, and when you compare it to other plein air equipment on the market, I think that you're going to find that this is right in line with anything else that you're going to purchase. Now, if you just want the easel caddy, that is actually, or it can be sold separately. The easel caddy on its own is going to cost $55. And if you want to just purchase the easel part right here, the panel holder, that's going to be $86. And if you just want to purchase the pallet holder, that's going to be $76. And remember, that doesn't actually come with a pallet. It's just the piece that hooks onto your tripod legs, as well as the metal arms that come out that you set your pallet on top of, along with the bungees. And finally, if you want to buy all of it together, it's going to run you $209 total, plus any tax or shipping, I think. And so, you know, all in all, I think that is a great price for this setup. So I promised you that I was going to give you my honest personal opinion on this setup. So here it goes. Let's look at the pros and cons of this system. So the pros to me are going to be the compact nature of it. So it's really not very big. You can fit it into any sort of backpack, and it's not that heavy. You know, it's a little bit of extra weight because of the metal and the build quality, but I would take durability over an extra few ounces any day. The other big pro that I like about this is the versatility. I like that you can purchase each of these components separately, because maybe you don't need all three things. Maybe you just need the panel holder, or maybe you just think the easel caddy is really cool and want to use that, or maybe you just like the panel holder. I don't know. You can bundle them all together, or you can purchase them separately, which is great. A third pro for me, and probably my overall favorite part of the LederEasel setup, is that easel caddy. Normally when I go out and paint, I don't bring a table with me or anything, so I have to put my solvent jar on the ground. I'm constantly bending over to rinse out my brushes. So I'm always worried about kicking it over or someone bumping into it, and I have to put my brushes on my palette itself. So I love the idea of having an extra little arm that doesn't get in the way, but it's something that I can easily and conveniently store my solvent jar along with a little bag for brushes or trash or whatever. So I think that is just fantastic and is my favorite part of the whole setup. And finally, my fourth pro is that it's a small business. LederEasel is made by a family and a family-run business, so anytime you can support a small business in the art industry, all for it. All right, now let's talk about cons. If you are an ounce pincher, if you're really worried about having the absolute most ultralight setup out there and taking it with you, this may not be it because of those metal and wood components. It is a bit heavier than other plein air setups that are ultralight, but it's still going to be on par with most setups that you're going to find today. So ultimately, that's not a huge deal. A second con for me is going to be that it does take some fiddling around to get it set up. It's not quite as easy as just take it out of the bag and plop it down and you're ready to go. You do have to twist and turn some things and move some things around to get it how you want it and ready to go before you start, but you know, overall that's not a huge thing. And the third con is really just a personal preference thing. When I go out plein air painting, I really love my day tripper palette that just hooks on and the arms or the box lid folds open and you've got your palette there. It's nice and big. I think I'd prefer taking that with me in most cases than using a palette box or a flat palette like what I showed you here. And so, you know, I don't know how much I would really use that palette holder. I think that's something that I would leave at home. But if you do like to plein air paint with a box, or if you do watercolor or something like that, I think it could be really good. So that's it. That's the full review of the LederEasel. It's a fantastic piece of plein air equipment. We all love new gear, and this is definitely a great one to try out. If you want to learn more about it or maybe pick one up yourself, go to the link down in the description of the video here, and I've got a link right to their website
so you can look at it. And it is starting to rain as we speak right now, so I'm going to wrap this up. And hey, if you liked this video, if you found it helpful, do me a favor, hit subscribe so you can see more content like this in the future. Until next time.